So recently, some interesting information about the Resident Evil franchise has been circulating around the web as of late. And one of those things that has been circulating around the web is the fact that we might get a new Resident Evil movie reboot sometime in the future. I'm not exactly sure when, but it's something that I learned through GameSpot. Apparently, a guy named Zach Krieger is going to be the writer and the director for that particular film. And and for the most part, Resident Evil films are basically like movies that have kept people on the edge of their seat. It's something that people are still interested in to this day because I think we've gotten at least like six Resident Evil movies that's come out since 2002. And a lot of people say that the very last Resident Evil game, Welcome to Raccoon City, was actually a pretty good one. And of course, that was also supposed to be a reboot and it had a different director. But people like that and they like the original Resident Evil movie from 2002 and even like Resident Evil Apocalypse from 2004 because, life was better back then and movies were, awesome back in the day. So that's something I totally understand. And based off of what I read, like this particular film will focus more on like roots from the video games. It was supposed to be like, I guess, adaptations of like it's gonna be more of like a film adaptation opposed to just like a standalone film because I believe that's what we got for like the Resident Evil movies for the most part. They were standalone films and they didn't closely follow the game, but they did to some extent in terms of like characters and all that. And I believe like the Resident Evil movies had a protagonist who was pretty much made for the films, and pretty much I don't think she's going to be appearing in this upcoming film that's currently being worked on right now, and I don't think any breaking like news or trailers or anything about this upcoming Resident Evil film has come to light just yet because obviously it's still early in development, and I have no idea what streaming platform it's going to appear on, whether or not it's going to appear on movies, or it's going to be on theaters for that matter. I could see it being on streaming platforms opposed to theaters, even though the Resident Evil series is like really popular and it's one of the best IPs that Capcom has. Um, I don't know. I just feel like Resident Evil is not quite as big as it used to be. A lot of people would tell you that among the best Resident Evil games that we got were Resident Evil 2 and 4. And Capcom has basically been making money off of the remakes of Resident Evil 2 from, I think that came out like in the late teens. And then you got Resident Evil 4 to remake, which came out back in 2023, which made millions for Capcom and sold millions worldwide. Um, and as far as like Resident Evil is concerned, um, it's been speculated that, or not even speculated, but leaked that the remake that Capcom's going to be working on next is Resident Evil Zero from 2002, and a lot of people thought it was going to be Code Veronica from 2000, and I mean. I'm pretty sure people have mixed opinions about that because people were expecting Code Veronica, myself included. But Resident Evil Zero, I think, is okay as well. Granted, it was on the GameCube, and the GameCube was a commercial failure, so maybe there wasn't a lot of people who had an opportunity to play that particular game. But yeah, I mean, I would say GameCube was more popular than Dreamcast was at its peak, even though both of those consoles were commercial failures. I think GameCube actually sold more overall, and I could see Capcom wanting to remake some of their best selling installments from the past, and obviously they're going to do everything they can to steer away from Resident Evil 5 because that's going to that's going to require like a grand effort on their part to rewrite the script in a way where it's something that I guess is not as offensive as the original version of the game that we got in 2009. But yeah, it seems like Resident Evil 0 is next in line for a remake, and And with that being said, I have no idea when that's going to be released or anything like that, but there's been speculation that, we'll learn more about that at the upcoming, Nintendo Direct presentation, along with Resident Evil 9. Um, I'm not exactly sure, like, if it's gonna be, at Nintendo, because like, it appearing in Nintendo Direct is something that has been, that's been rumored, but at the same time, I can't see Resident Evil being on a Nintendo console. I can see Capcom doing their own, like, presentation like they did last time with Resident Evil, and, yeah, like, Capcom normally does their own showcases, and they do whatever they can to try and, connect with their audience, and try to, give them something new and something surprising that they won't expect, whether it be in their trailers or how it's presented. They do whatever they can to try and, to satisfy their fan base. And the reason I say that is because with Resident Evil 9, apparently they're supposed to be going back to Leon S. Kennedy as the main protagonist. And obviously, because he was the main protagonist in Resident Evil 2 and 4, they're going back with him again. And they're dropping Ethan Winters because even though, Resident Evil, 7 actually did pretty good and Resident Evil 8 did good in sales, a lot of people aren't really talking about those two games for the most part. And I'm pretty sure, like, years from now, people will look back at Resident Evil 7 and be like, wow, this game, saved the franchise from completely dying and being irrelevant because nobody really gave a damn about 6. In fact, a lot of people thought Resident Evil 6 was bad. And honestly, I'm gonna put that on the list of, Resident Evil games that Capcom will probably omit, remaking in the future. But yeah, Resident Evil Zero, the remake, is supposed to be coming out in the future, and most likely we're going to learn more about this Resident Evil film that's currently in the works sometime in the future. I have no idea when it's supposed to come out because it doesn't have a scheduled release date or anything like that. But the next couple of years is going to be big for Capcom, and obviously more focus is going to be put on Resident Evil, even more so than that of Monster Hunter or even Street Fighter for that matter.